Polkadot is really the only place in the ecosystem where projects that need massive scale have to deploy. If you're going to be pushing thousands of transactions per second and you need to have no downtime, you can't be at risk of censorship, you can't be at risk of downtime, you have a real profit producing business, you need to be on Polkadot. And so there's a lot of unique projects deploying on Polkadot for that reason.
Hello everyone and welcome to Colors of Web3 and Entrepreneurship. My name is Lam, your Web3 host. Today is episode 55 and here I am. I'm joined by Jay Chrawnna. For those of you who are new to the show, Colors of Web3 and Entrepreneurship is a show highlighting the journeys of builders and innovators of Web3 and entrepreneurship. Some topics expected in Web3 may get technical, but we do our best to keep it accessible for most people. Jay, would you like to give a quick introduction?
Yeah, hi, thanks for having me. 55 episodes of the show, you said?
Yeah.
Wow,
correct.
That's
55,
amazing.
Yeah.
Well, thanks for having me
Thank
on. Nice honor. Great to meet you at Sub-Zero conference before DevCon, I'm Jay Chrawnna. I'm the director of an organization called the Kus. The Kus is a public broadcaster in the Polkadot ecosystem. We're a team of about 11 core people and then a bunch of freelancers. And we have one client, one difficult, interesting client, and that client is the Polkadot DAO. This group of Polkadot holders who vote on how to direct the Polkadot network and spend the massive Polkadot treasury. And part of that spending is with our company, with the Kus. And the service we provide them is high quality distribution of information. And we maintain platforms for ecosystem agents and dot holders to come upon and share ideas and battle each other and request funds and discuss governance. It's an important service that we endeavor to provide for the Polkadot DAO.
Awesome. Yeah, so I mean, of course, we'll talk a lot about what you and your company does afterward as well. But I think for many of those of you watching the show that may be interested in knowing about your professional background, could you share with us like what you did before the show? Maybe you can pick a timeline, maybe after you graduated from college, or maybe when you first got your first job or something, and leading up to now.
Yeah, so my first career was in live performance. I was an actor when I got a good gig, and I was also a director and a producer. So I maintained physical stages in the real world and organized all of the production and all of the people required to bring people together, not only on the stage, but also the audience as well. Right. This is the main asset when it comes to media and communications. The main asset is the audience itself. So you gather people on stage, of course, but it's kind of pointless unless you have an audience watching them. So that was my experience there. I did that for many years. And as an actor, I toured around Canada to most corners and got to see a lot of the country and build a lot of experience there. COVID, however, interrupted that career in a big way.
I see.
And I was also eager to explore other ways I could be of service to the world with this skill set, because unfortunately, in Canada, you're forced to be part of a union if you're doing live performance, and that union actually puts a cap on how much money you can make. And to my math, it was never going to be enough to like raise a family, things that are really important to me. So I was eager to explore other avenues as well. And COVID provided that opportunity to jump and explore something new. And so what I started to do was study finance with like university courses, because I had a lot of time on my hand. Our government was literally paying us to stay home at the time, which is just so crazy. But by studying finance, I just thought it was a gap in my knowledge. I fell into Bitcoin just before the last halving, and I did DeFi summer, and I won a lot and I lost a lot. I ended up back where I started, but through there I gained a lot of knowledge, and I discovered this fellow Gavin Wood and really got inspired and hooked on to the mission that he's endeavoring to, or that he is pursuing. And yeah, that's how I ended up where I am today.
Awesome. Cool. Yeah, so I think you probably might be the first person who actually been like doing some sort of acting to be on my show. Actually, could you share more? Like, was it actually like a movie acting in a movie or like TV show?
There were a few instances where I was on TV, in shows and commercials, but this was not really a great interest to me. uh, that's the whole side story of why I don't find that industry particularly enticing.
Really?
But
Ah,
live performance, stage performance, and especially the management of stages and directing
yeah.
actors and audience, this really fascinates me. And yeah, so that's what I try to stay in.
Interesting. So you more like the person behind the scene, like setting up everything
Well, no, I
and
was on stage a lot as
arranging
well, actually, and
okay.
I had a good
On
time
stage as
there.
well
But
as well.
I'm
Okay.
just saying that the whole live experience is what I really appreciate. It's something I
Hmm.
want to get back to. It's something I want to drag a blockchain into a few years down the line from today. But I endeavor to preserve that liveness in my work today. So we have a lot of live shows, and our podcast is
Hmm.
called Space Monkeys. We only do it in person, and I think there's a
Yeah.
lot there's a lot more information. It's very high fidelity when you do things live, as opposed to edited together after the fact, which has its place too. Of course, we do that as well, but there is a
Yeah.
special value to live.
Yeah, for sure. I think so too. I mean, that's probably something that I would love to explore as
Awesome,
well
yeah.
someday to do like a live podcast and with
You
one
know
of the
what
guests.
you know what it
I think that's
really
something
is
I'm going to
is
explore in the
I feel
future.
like liveness is
Mm.
this inoculation against bullshit, really, right? Because when you're sitting
Mm.
alone in your living room or in your office watching something, it's just the information that's been fabricated and then your own thoughts, right? But when we're in a live situation, especially if we're in a room with other people, we're constantly given the opportunity to measure our own reaction against the reaction of our neighbors. And in this way, we can kind of get closer to a truth because we're not isolated. And we can do this online as well with like group conferences and things like that that can kind of get us there. But it does provide this extra layer of protection against bullshit, I believe.
Interesting. Yeah, I think that's the first time I heard about it. But I think it's also true. I mean, especially in our industry, right? I
Yeah,
think I would say that like over 90% of people in Web3 probably work like online, right? I mean, work remote and online, so like all over
yeah,
the globe. And I think I think that's why we have in our industry we have this conferences, right? That people go to, whether it's like Sub Zero, DEF CON, or many other big global events as well. People join together. I think those are like the occasion where you actually meet people in person and then you can actually see what they are like, right? And whether they are like real or not. Because sometimes you just look at like on the screen, it's like an NFT profile picture, right? And you don't even know whether actually a man or a woman either, right?
and
Sometimes, yeah.
and we have to be honest with ourselves. How
Mm.
much of this industry is riding on bullshit, right? Like my friends and family, I don't
Mm.
encourage them to speculate on crypto because I say it's like 98% hustlers.
Yeah.
And it's
Yeah.
easy to forget because now we're going into this, euphoric bull market, we hope. And it's easy
Yeah.
to forget that we just suffered through 3 years of crap. And that suffering is because of the last bull market, because of the last bullshit market of hype. And then, the whole industry suffers for years at a time. Eventually, this speculation wave, I think, will smooth out and we can make more progress.
Hmm.
But it more people get hurt because of the crap, the bullshit, than come out on top, and that's painful to see.
Yeah, it's true. I feel like the more maybe when crypto become like truly mainstream and when everyone knows about it, I guess that'll be when there's like less
Hmm.
regulation, because we don't know when that point will be. But yeah, that's just look forward to that. Interesting. So I guess going back to your previous career, you were doing like acting, and then after COVID, right? And then you just like suddenly did you suddenly? So you said you were also doing some Bitcoin, right? Bitcoin got you
Yeah.
involved into Web3, and then through that you just learned the technology, and then did you just decide during COVID that you're gonna begin a podcast? Or,
Well,
what was the
no,
origin of
I
the
sort
show?
of I was sort of pulled into it at the time that I
Mm.
discovered Polkadot. It was just launching, and part of the kind of public facing launch of Polkadot was the launch of these crowd loans. This was the first version of how L1 blockchains, how layer one blockchains were able to connect to the core Polkadot relay chain. How that would happen is they would lock dot, and then that would ensure that they had security and validation of their blockchain by the core Polkadot network. And this was like a massive, exciting thing at the end of that bull market. However, the user experience in the Polkadot network at the time, this is 2001, I guess, was really tough. It was basically, you didn't have any fancy wallets or anything like that. You basically just had a developer console, and it was really difficult to understand how to use. So just in my excitement, I started creating these tutorial videos of how to use this developer console. And I called the show Polkadot Kusama, What the FAQ? And it was basically frequently asked questions about how to interact with the network. And this helped a lot of people become involved in Polkadot, join those crowd loans. And at the same time, because Polkadot is not just a blockchain network, it's not just a consensus mechanism. There's this really rich social layer on top, this very advanced governance layer. And now there's a lot of governance tokens and snapshot services where token holders can offer their opinion on something, and then there's a little snapshot, and then a room full of a few people look at that snapshot and make a change to the network somehow. But Polkadot has a very advanced self-executing governance system where anybody who holds DOT tokens today can propose a change to the network itself or to spending the treasury. And then anybody who holds DOT can vote on those proposed changes. And then if those changes are passed through this governance operation, it is executed automatically. There is no middleman. Gavin Wood or any of the other founders doesn't say, yeah, we agree, we'll make it happen. No, it's going to happen. And so there's this constant tension of protecting the network and growing the network. And my videos got kind of caught up in that. So at the time, it wasn't a situation where any token holder could propose. They did have a smaller council to kind of deliver them to this future. But that council started dropping me little tips for my videos, $50, $100, something like that. And after 100 videos, I was kind of resistant to it because, I don't know, I'm stupid.
Wow, you were making 100 videos. That's a lot.
Yeah.
And how long is this video? Like 1 hour each? Or like 30 minutes?
Short little tutorials. And then I branched into news. And then after 100 videos, I was convinced that I should submit what we call a spend proposal. So this is a larger chunk of money up front for future services. And that's what started this organization, which became the Kus. So I initially asked for $30,000. I used it to hire a video editor. And then we just grew the Kus, and we just became in better service to the token holders. And here we are, like 3.5 years later. We're actually doing another spend proposal right now to hopefully get us through to the end of 2025 for these core services.
Awesome. Yeah, and of course, we'll talk more about that afterward. Maybe just one fun question before we deep dive into the current work of your company. Can you share with us what you do for fun in your free time? What are your hobbies?
I really like working, and I work as much as I can. I jump out of bed, and I'm so excited to come to my workstation and catch up on everything happening, right? I'm sitting here in Canada. Europe already has 5 or 6 hours of excitement on me. I got to get caught up and get going. I work a lot, and I enjoy it so much. I do take some breaks. I'm doing a running competition with my childhood mate. Not a competition, we're competing for sure. So I do get out and I do run. There's a local theater a movie theater where I see some fantastic festival films that come through. And I also see live music when I can as well. There's local neighborhood bar where a lot of fantastic, legendary Toronto talent comes through. I get to see them once or twice a week. And there's also a great music venue down the street that brings through, it's medium-sized, 500 people, brings through some great bands there. I see that as well. So I'd say that those are the things I do for fun.
Oh, that's great. Yeah. When you said like running competition, is it like long distance or is it something else special?
Yeah. So I have a friend and long, like we were in kindergarten together. And he's a real athlete. Like he was actually born with an oversized heart, which gives him all these insane advantages and probably some disadvantages as well. But he's just an amazing guy. So we have a an ongoing competition where he runs twice as far as I run, and I'm basically trying to keep up with half of what he does. And yeah, it's amazing. We push each other a lot. He's going for 100K run in May.
Wow.
Yeah.
100K is a long distance, very long.
Yeah, I mean, he's been crushing 60Ks lately. I mean, it's amazing to watch. But he's pushed me to recently. I did a 24K, which is like my most ever.
Okay.
But
I see. That's like a bit more than half marathon.
That's right. Yeah. So I want to get up there to the marathon, and then I want to get up there to the 50K for May. But I don't know if it's gonna happen. I probably have my physical limitations, but it's the competition that's great. I love the runner's high. I love getting away from my computer, in the middle of the day or very late at night. I have a nice spot here where I live. I get to run by the water, and yeah, it's nice. I like running.
That's cool. That's cool. Yeah. So for me, like I'm not so much a runner. I think the period of time that I actually run the most is like during COVID, when like the whole town of Tokyo was like on lockdown. All the gym, even the park, they actually even decided to shut down the park. So like even you can't go to the park to do calisthenics, which is what I was doing at that time. So there's like nothing you can train on, right? Except like training at your home or running. So I decided, okay, I want to adopt some running. I think that was the time I was running.
Wow,
and then I learned like my own physical limit as well. I thought running was easy, but you can just keep running. But apparently like your leg eventually will kind of give out, right? Or like will hurt so bad you have blisters. And I had to give out. But so I was running like I think 10 or like 12 kilometers at that time per each run.
Yeah, no, during COVID I was running too. I would actually I would run out to this like little like outcrop on the lake here, this big lake here. I would just like scream at the lake, like, ah, like I was like so pent up and like disturbed, and I was just like, ah, just let it all out. And yeah, it helped actually. It really blew off some steam. Yeah, that was mean that they put us inside there, but I'm glad we made it through.
Yeah, for sure. So I think my running habit was only during COVID.
Yeah.
But I think after COVID, I think I kind of quit running.
Fair enough.
Wasn't running, but once in a while, I pick it back up. Yeah,
nice.
For sure. Cool. Yeah. So, well, without further ado, let's go ahead and deep dive into your current company. Feel free to share any website or profile, anything you might have.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. Here's the Kus on X. You can find us at the Kusamarian. We named it the Kusamarian because Kusama. That's the Canary network. It's like the laboratory network of Polkadot. It's a live network, real value. But everybody, not everybody, but at least the core updates and everything happen on Kusama first. So if it all gets messed up, we're good before we move it to big Polkadot. So we're called the Kusamarian. It's kind of like a newspaper, it's like a local newspaper, like the Good Citizen, the Kusamarian, something like that. And mostly we're on X here, and we pump out a lot of content. I think we pump out, I don't know, maybe 8 to 10, 12 pieces of content a day.
Oh, really? Is it like long form content, short form?
It's all kinds of different stuff. So maybe if we head over to the YouTube channel here.
Sure.
We have a bunch of different offerings. So we have the Space Monkeys podcast. So this is the weekly in-person only podcast. Here it is, where we interview. It's a platform for thought leaders in the Polkadot ecosystem to speak to token holders in the Polkadot ecosystem. Yeah. A lot of people think about media and content as outreach. It's always outreach, right? It's always about getting views and everything like that. But internal communications is very important for a global DAO like Polkadot. Without the Kus, maybe somebody would come in and fill in the gaps, but the Kus is one of the sole providers of this space, these stages where people can come upon and share their ideas and debate. And Space Monkeys is one of those podcasts. So I'm on an airplane every 4 weeks, every 6 weeks to some conference where some of these thought leaders are, and I sit down with them and I ask them, what they're doing, why they're doing it, what it's going to make the future of Polkadot look like. We also get into personal conversations as well, where they're coming from, their values that drive them, because a lot of people are very value driven here in the Polkadot network. They're not. There's a million other places for them to go if they were, here to make a quick buck. But these people are really, developing a technology platform for a future free internet, where we're, unburdened by all these middlemen and censorship opportunities that people are taking. And this is what we do here on the Space Monkeys podcast. So that's one of our offerings.
Nice. So the Space Monkey is the one where you actually do it live in person, right? And then you said like 4 or 6 weeks you would fly to a conference.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. Oh, how many big events are there by the way, in the Polkadot ecosystem? So I think I met you at Sub-Zero. I guess I was one of the key big
Yeah,
events.
Sub-Zero is like the developer conference. And then we also have another
see.
conference called Decoded, which is in the summer, Polkadot Decoded. And this is a little bit more accessible, a little bit more thought leadership and thinkers, whereas Web Zero or Sub-Zero is more the builders. So those are the main two, but obviously Polkadot has a presence at all the major big crypto events. So I go to those as well. I've been to Asia so much this past year. It was to Asia 6 or 7 times, maybe 8 times.
Okay.
I don't know, but that's a nasty flight from Toronto, I'll tell you. The other big platform we do is AAG. So this is called Attempts at Governance. This is a live show we host with anybody who wants to come on. And let me just make sure this is muted here. And basically, people are given the opportunity to come on and share their spend proposals or their proposals to change the network. And we host this twice a week. So the one I was just showing is for Kusama and all of the blockchains connected to Polkadot. And then on Thursdays we have this big show for Polkadot. So in this last one that we did, we had, I don't know, something like $2 million worth of spend proposals being debated on this platform. And yeah, this is just an important stage for people to come on. So this guy right here, he wants to spend, I don't know what it is, 200,000 or 400,000 to integrate these South American football teams into a platform powered by Polkadot, NFTs, and all this stuff like that. It's a really interesting proposal.
Nice.
It probably isn't going to pass, or it appears that it's not going to pass. However, we do have another treasury-funded organization called .play that deals with video games and these sort of activities. That's a great play. We connected them with .play. So there's a way possibly for them to move forward with Polkadot, but that was sort of determined on this platform.
Interesting. Yeah. So basically, people will come on your show here, the AAG weekly, and then they just debate on what's going on, and maybe they speak about pros and cons, right?
That's right.
Why the proposal to that. Nice.
That's right. And then and then we also broadcast other content. So here's a series called Web3 Thinkers and Builders by Key Pictures. This is super, super high quality in-person interviews. We broadcast that every week. We broadcast a weekly news recap, and then loads and loads and loads and loads of shorts for TikTok and Instagram and here on YouTube Shorts. And what's the other one? TikTok, Instagram, YouTube Shorts, and what's the other one?
Facebook.
X,
I don't know if you do Facebook, LinkedIn.
Yeah, we don't do LinkedIn. No, I want on my gravestone. Never had LinkedIn. That's my
Okay.
That's my goal.
Really interesting. Okay.
But look, all this comes together. I want to show you something. This we made this little collage for our spend proposal. This is just the last 6 months of the Kus. These are all the ecosystem agents that have participated in attempts at governance. All right, and then here are the ecosystem agents that participate in another show called the OpenDev Fellowship. This is the core Polkadot builders. We have a show with them. Here's 6 months of our podcast, 6 months of Key Pictures. We're rebroadcasting this other educational podcast here, and then this is all the news we do. So this is the service we're providing to the Polkadot DAO. This is why they funded us so far, and these are the platforms upon which the consequential discussions of Polkadot often happen, and this is the service we're trying to provide.
Wow, I mean, I'm just looking at the picture, and I think it's just really impressive. Like, I bet it must have cost you a lot of time and effort to put it together, right? I saw like nine picture on your row, and there was like maybe 20, 30 rows. So,
Yeah,
over like 200, 300 people, probably more than that, right? I would say.
it was a laborious process to
Yeah.
create that, but honestly, I do it. Every time we go for funding our services, I take, like this was like several, I don't know, way more time than I'm willing to admit to build. But this time of reflection, going back through all of the old materials, is actually really important for informing how to direct the future vision of the platform.
I see. Cool. So I guess the next logical question I'll be wanting to know, many of you are wanting to know, is like how much is actually under the Polkadot DAO, like managing the treasury?
How the Polkadot DAOs are only our only client. It's 100% funded by the Polkadot DAO. We do save the Polkadot DAO a lot of funds in a few ways. We run some validators that have some income. We also have a dedicated treasury manager who,
Oh,
I
cool.
mean, we've only existed during the bear market. He has
Yeah.
still managed to yield over $70,000 just in his very low risk treasury management activities. I should honestly
Wow.
get him to manage my own portfolio. But so that's it. And then the other way we save the DAO a lot of money is when people request, because a lot of people who want to spend the treasury, they hear like, oh, you should go on attempts at governance. So they'll reach out to me. And what often happens is like I kind of give them some tips and some help on how they can present themselves. And part of those tips are always, you should really reduce your ask because it's a little insane. And so in that way, I don't exactly know the math, but a very, very big portion of what we've requested to spend from the treasury, we've also saved the treasury just by getting spend proposals to reduce their asks. So yeah,
Interesting.
hopefully
Yeah.
that
So
comes out.
I see. Yeah. So I guess my previous question is about like how big is this treasury that Polkadot DAO is managing at the moment? Do you have a rough figure?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'll have to check with the recent increase in appreciation of the price of DOT because most of the treasury is in DOT, but
I see.
I think it's $150 million or something like that.
Okay.
Um,
Wow. That's
yeah,
huge. Yeah.
yeah,
That's
and
huge.
climbing. The Polkadot DAO is becoming much more sophisticated in its treasury management. So the treasury is filled through a percentage of inflation, right? Like all proof of stake networks, Polkadot has a level of inflation, which is recently just reduced. And then up a slice of that inflation goes to the treasury. The rest goes to validators and stakers. And previously it was just DOT. We're just holding DOT. We're, treasury's going up 50 million. It's sinking 50 million. But now the DAO has come together and voted on DCAing some of that DOT into stablecoins.
Interesting. Yeah.
And then there's been a culture shift where spend proposers who ask for DOT are by and large rejected because that DOT is valuable, right? That DOT should increase in value in the future. So we don't want to give it away. However, we're happy to give away these stable coins that we've accumulated. So the DAO's accumulated like 14, 15 million in stable coins, and there's this constant chipping away. And we try to spend those stable coins and we try to preserve the DOT for the future. So it's becoming more sophisticated, and I think we'll continue to see the development of that sophistication, especially with there's a major ecosystem money market coming online. I imagine we'll see some experiments in lending and borrowing, and it's pretty cool that this is all happening without some sort of central council, making decisions.
Yeah. So I think governance is like a very complicated topic in Web3. Do you have like a simple mental model that you can explain to us? So let's say that someone has a proposal, right? What are some of the like steps needed from, I don't know, maybe the ideation stage of the proposal up until when it's like passed by the DAO, something like how many steps and what's involved and who needs to do what, who are the main stakeholders throughout the process? If you can share with us.
Sure. I mean, probably the most important thing for people to understand, and it'll save them a lot of pain, is to realize that OpenGov, which is what we call this governance system, OpenGov, is political. OpenGov is political. It is a way to come to consensus between humans, and political mechanisms are not logical. And this is very important for people to understand, because a lot of people will come to OpenGov and they'll say, oh, well, this proposal that was funded 6 months ago got this much, so therefore my proposal should get this much. But then that's very logical, but it's not political, right? There's a lot of variables at play here. The people who are voting today are different than the people who were voting 6 months ago. It's a different set of token holders. It's constantly fluid. And just because somebody got a certain amount of money 6 months ago doesn't mean somebody new will get the same amount of money, because one of the key let me close this down here. One of the key primitives of OpenGov is reputation, right? So a lot of people will come into OpenGov and they'll be like, look, I have this amazing idea. I'm going to build a meme coin launchpad. None of y'all have ever seen me before. I'm going to need $400,000 up front. I'm going to get this done in 3 months. I got an amazing team. I can't tell you who they are. They're all anon, but it's going to be sick. It's like, no, that's not happening at all. If you want any amount of money in OpenGov, you need to build a reputation, right? Which is, similar to how the Kus started, right? 100 videos, built up a reputation, asked for a small amount, proved we could do well with it, asked for a bigger amount, grew the team. It's really entering a political relationship with token holders when you engage with OpenGov. And then once you do get a proposal up and people are debating how they feel about it, your fate is decided by token holders who have power based on how many tokens they have, and also how convicted they are to the network. Because what they can do is they can increase the power of their vote by locking their tokens for longer and longer periods of time. So if you, Lam, put up a proposal for great podcasts, you're asking for $50,000 and I had 1,000 DOT. I could vote on that with the power of 1,000 DOT by locking my DOT for 28 days. I could vote on it with the power of 100 DOT, so 1/10 the power, by locking it for no days. Or I could vote on it with the power of 6,000 DOT by locking it for like 240 days.
Oh.
Yeah. So
interesting.
This mechanism decides the fate of people, and it allows people with smaller holdings to have more power.
So the locking is not linear, right? It's not like linear. It's like exponential, I'm guessing.
I'm not sure, actually. I'd have to look at the curve.
I'm
not sure. Yeah, but you could lock it you could lock it 1/10, 1x, 2x, 3x, 4x, and all the way to 6x.
I see.
And then the final mechanism of consequence here is delegations. So a lot of people who hold a lot of DOT don't have the time to engage in OpenGov. But what they may do is delegate their voting power to somebody who does. So behind, the Kusamarian's audience, the Kus's audience has a DAO called Kus DAO, and people delegate their voting power to Kus DAO, and then the audience members of Kus DAO vote amongst themselves to form consensus of how to vote with that stack. So there are some pretty big holders who delegate their voting power, including the foundation that issued the DOT token itself, called the Web3 Foundation. They delegate like 5 million voting power to 6 different actors, and they're kind of some of the larger voting forces in the ecosystem. But we also have whales that come in occasionally. About 11 months ago, we had one of DOT's biggest whales come in, and he was enthusiastic about marketing. So he really shook things up and passed a lot of marketing proposals and really got the Polkadot DAO moving in this more liberal, optimistic vibe for a while. It's totally crazy, but it's also kind of amazing how it all works. Polkadot's not crashing and burning; it's thriving, and it's super resilient against any attacks, which may take advantage of small centralized councils. It's just like, try to take over the DAO. Good luck with that. It'd make great content. Try it out. Let's see. You're not going to make it.
Interesting. I see. So basically, there's also like I guess like smaller alliance right inside the DAO, who's like just trying to decide like how they would vote themselves, so that way they can be
Yeah,
unanimous, right? Yeah,
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 exactly.
yeah.
Yeah, it's like sub-consensus to the major OpenGov's consensus, and different political approaches as well. Like KuSTAO is an Athenian democracy, one person, one vote. There are other sub-consensus where it's like a small council, another sub-consensus where it's just two people. Yeah, it's a lot of different political ideologies all converging on the answer.
Cool, cool. Yeah, I think that makes sense. And then so I think, how long would like such a proposal last? Is there like a average timeline of a proposal
Yeah,
from ideation to voting?
yeah, there's different tracks for different types of proposals, but most of them are 28 days.
Okay.
However, they can pass sooner if like a lot of votes come in. Like the more votes that come in, the shorter the timeline, and the more positive those votes are, that can also shorten timelines. So, yeah, I mean, you can watch $1 million leave the treasury in 2 weeks, or less than 20 days.
I
Yeah.
see. Yeah, makes sense. So is it a majority type of voting, as in like over 50% and it's already approved?
Yeah,
Is that
that's right.
right?
All proposals going through OpenGov resolve at a simple majority.
Okay. Cool, cool. Yeah, makes sense. 28 days. Yeah, I think that sounds quite interesting. And I guess so. Web3 Foundation is like I'm not even sure. Like the is it, what would you say that the role or the connection towards the DAOs is, so that people can understand more better?
Yeah, the Web3 Foundation is a Swiss foundation. They are the legal issuers of the DOT token. So they issued the DOT token and they sold it uh, to buyers. They went out, they marketed it, and they sold it to buyers. They were very, very careful to ensure that nobody got too big of a chunk of the network. And they also, at the time, they endeavored to engage the SEC, and they claimed, okay, we are issuing a security. No questions. DOT is a security. And the Web3 Foundation has since worked with the SEC to what they call morph the token from a security to a utility token. And that's why in all of Gary Gensler's attempts to take down the crypto industry in the last couple of years, you've never seen DOT, because the lawyers from the Web3 Foundation who have been engaging the SEC have managed to prove that the network is not making people profit off the actions of a few, but it's actually a token that's being used by many to move the network forward and to grow its value in the world. And so it's that's what the Web3 Foundation does. Now the Web3 Foundation, I mean, they have a very large treasury themselves, so they're actively involved in grants and attracting people to the ecosystem. They're still working on regulation front and the legal front, but they're one of the main organizations in the Polkadot network. However, they don't control the treasury. They don't control OpenGov. They're not solely responsible in any way. There's another big organization called Parity. That is the technical organization that have built out the Polkadot network to this point. That's another big organization. And then another big organization is called the Fellowship. And this is like people from Parity are bleeding into the Fellowship. And this is more of like a treasury funded representatives of builders of the core Polkadot network. Yeah, so those are the main groups in the ecosystem.
Ah, cool, cool. So you said the fellowship is the one that the treasury funded to help to build the Polkadot ecosystem, right?
Yeah. In fact, anybody can endeavor to join the Fellowship and move up the ranks and even get a salary for building the core Polkadot protocol.
I see. So then, since Web3 Foundation hold some of the dot token, can they also vote on any proposal
Yeah, of course.
on there? Okay, I see.
Yeah, and in fact, they delegate a lot of their voting power. So they've delegated a lot of their voting power to KuSTAO and to 5 other big organizations in the ecosystem.
I see. I see. Yeah, I mean, I think the reason why I ask is that I'm not sure like how it would be perceived. Is it would be perceived as like neutral if they vote themselves, right, on some of the thing that might be directly because like the might be some sort of conflict of interest. You know what I mean?
I think
So
this is
that's why I
partially
think
why
that's
they
why.
delegate their votes, to be honest.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, I think so too. Now that makes sense because I think that because if you kind of have some enough influence to control the treasury, right, then I feel like there might be a little bit of a conflict interest over there. Makes sense.
Yeah, yeah, no doubt.
Cool, cool, cool. Yeah, so I think I guess one thing a lot of you on my podcast will be interested in, since I actually talk a lot about tech as well. Like, could you share with us some of the interesting like projects in the Polkadot ecosystem, or any exciting tech or development in Polkadot ecosystem? Yeah,
Yeah,
whether it's
sure.
recent or in the past, up to you.
Yeah, the unique thing about the Polkadot ecosystem is that, okay, so Gavin Wood, who's the guy who coded the Ethereum white paper, he created the yellow paper. It's a
Yeah,
specification for Ethereum.
yeah,
That's the guy who left Ethereum because he saw that it wasn't going to scale, and he saw that socially it wasn't going to be decentralized, and he left to make Polkadot. And he designed Polkadot to what it is today, which is this sharded ecosystem that all is under the same security umbrella, can send messages between blockchains. It's so sophisticated. Now, a lot of other ecosystems are now mimicking the Polkadot design, and there are a lot of problems with the design. So actually, he's already building the next thing, which he's calling Jam. But that's all to say that Polkadot is really the only place in the ecosystem where projects that need massive scale have to deploy. If you're going to be pushing thousands of transactions per second, and you need to have no downtime, you can't be at risk of censorship. You can't be at risk of downtime. You have a real profit producing business. You need to be on Polkadot. And so there's a lot of unique projects deploying on Polkadot for that reason. One is Origin Trail. Origin Trail is building a verifiable internet by creating a knowledge graph of knowledge assets that are verifiably true. They started 10 years ago recording the movements of goods and certificates on supply chains, including for doing certificates for like Home Depot and Walmart, and something like 40% of imports into the States, something like that. They have a massive knowledge graph. And that knowledge graph is being built and collected on a Polkadot rollup called NeuroWeb. And now they're using that to train AI with verifiable data. And that's a really exciting project. They are pushing Polkadot to its limits right now. And they're about to take advantage of a new tech upgrade where they're going to be able to actually harness multiple cores, so multiple blockchain slots all together, and have their own kind of like super chain to have increased throughput. That's so incredible. That's Origin Trail. Another great one is called Mythical Games. This is by a fellow named John Linden, who's responsible for some of the Call of Duty games. He now has a mobile company, well, not only mobile, but now primarily mobile company called Mythical Games. They've been running a proof of authority chain, just their own private blockchain, for a few years. They have games on the App Store and on Google Play. But they recently just migrated that proof of authority private chain over to a Polkadot rollup. And they are pushing massive transactions every month. They actually have the fourth highest volume in NFT transactions behind Bitcoin, Ethereum, Solana. It's Mythical, and that's on Polkadot right now. Insane volume and insane number of transactions. And the crazy thing is that these assets are being generated on games you can get in the App Store. Their main game is called NFL Rivals. It's an NFL branded American football game, and there's these NFTs with real football players, and they're being traded not on the game platform, but on people can take custody of their own NFTs, and they can start trading them on marketplaces. And I think there's also in-game swapping as well. You can like swap the dollar amount of 3 or 4 assets with the dollar amount of these assets, and they can do that. It's I think how they get around these horrible App Store policies. So that's another one. Mythical Games is another one. Would you like more, or do you want to ask a question?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, please. Yeah, maybe share a few more. I'm just curious, like what's on Polkadot. Since, like I said, I don't think I've experimented a lot with. I mean,
Oh yeah,
I guess some of the main. I actually joined a Polkadot hackathon in the past. It's been a while, but actually,
right,
it's
right.
funny. I wasn't building with Substrate, which I know is like the main like
Yeah,
framework or key technology. I was actually building with like Solidity, because
which you
like
can
some
do
of
easily
the
on Polkadot. Yeah,
yeah, because some I think some of the chain, and please correct me if I'm wrong here. Yeah, I think some of the chain I was building on, like I think Moonbeam and
Moonbeam.
Asta, right?
Yep.
Asta network also, like because they like Duo. I think Duo be a multi VM type of thing where
Yeah,
they
we
can
have
execute well.
multiple chains like that are built on Substrate, but they're compatible with
I
EVM,
see.
and you can even connect with a MetaMask and interact with no problem. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, that's cool. Yeah, cool. So I think you share a game and like a certificate. Good. Yeah, feel free to maybe share a few more, one or two more.
Some upcoming
I'm
ones.
curious.
There's this
Okay.
incredible project called HyperBridge. So you know the bridging problem in crypto, right? Yeah, billions lost, constant bridge hacks. It's a horrible experience. It's expensive. It's slow. And why that's happening? Why they're so rickety and 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 exposed to corruption is that all popular bridges at the end of the day are really just orchestrated by this middleman, right? There's some sort of multi-sig or some sort of like private validator set or some sort of small centralized point in the middle that can verify to chain A that something happened on chain B, and then on chain B that something happened on chain A. And this little centralized point is what gets hacked and corrupted and
Yeah.
makes everything terrible. Okay. So what HyperBridge is doing is it's turning this little point into the whole Polkadot network. It's using Polkadot as a coprocessor for verifying the state of different chains. So now instead of Arbitrum having to trust some middleman at Wormhole that something is happening on Matic, or what are we calling it? Polygon.
Polygon. Yeah.
The Polkadot network itself will verify the state of both chains so they can communicate. And this is insane. So it's already launched just with DOT right now. You can move DOT around L2s and the main Ethereum ecosystem. It's very cheap, it's very fast, and it can't be hacked. You have to hack the whole Polkadot network if you want to hack it, which is not going to happen. Well, actually, you should try. It would be very entertaining. But HyperBridge is fantastic, and it's raising right now. So their token is called Bridge. You can go on app.hyperbridge.something. Let's check it out. App.hyperbridge.network. And you can supply stablecoins from all of the popular L2s from Ethereum itself and acquire this bridge token right now. I think it's going to be amazingly useful and productive for the entire industry. It's going to take out this massive, disgusting problem of bridge hacks, just stealing money from people who are eager to participate in this ecosystem or in this industry. And it's going to just turn all that on its head. HyperBridge is phenomenal. And then another project that's just launched this week is Peak Network. It is a DPIN dedicated L1 blockchain connected to Polkadot, a Polkadot rollup. And you're just seeing a lot of DPIN projects that were launched on Solana or other places just migrating over because they need the scale, they need the reliability, and they all want to, kind of be in the same synchronous environment. And that just launched too. So that's another one to look out for. And then there's a bunch of other
Nice.
stuff. Moonbeam, like you talked about, Ethereum compatible ecosystem. Hydration, which is our main DEX, which can do incredible things like DCA, and it's about to launch a money market. It's one-sided liquidity. It's fantastic DEX. There's so much going on. I hope that's a nice taste.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, thanks for sharing that. And I know that bridging different blockchain is actually a real pain, and also there's a lot of security concern, like you
I don't
said, right?
do it.
Depending on the
I do
model.
it
Yeah.
occasionally, but it's so freaky. I just don't do it. I can't wait to
Yeah.
do it more.
Yeah, and for sure, people want to have someone like you can actually trust, right? And then, but maybe not trust.
Someone you don't
Maybe
have to trust.
Yeah, you don't have to trust. Exactly. That was what I was
Yeah,
gonna
yeah,
say. Yeah. You have to trust you, otherwise
yeah,
you're in
yeah. That's
trouble.
right.
Yeah. Cool. Yeah, thanks for sharing in some of the project in Polkadot ecosystem. Actually, just curious, like I think you mentioned earlier you had like team of 11, right? What are some of the challenges facing your team? I'm always curious because I think some media focused team. Yeah.
Yeah, team is so slick. We're just super fortunate because there's so many eager people who want to be a part of telling the story of Polkadot and have the skills, and they just wind up kind of orbiting around the goose. And the team is really, we don't really have, all hands meetings or anything like that. It really operates in this sort of, um, it just kind of operates in this like forward vibe where people come up with their own ideas and their own vision, and throw their script and their recording to the next guy, and he edits it up, and that gets thrown to the next guy who chops it into nice verticals and adds music, and it's just this amazing production house. And yeah, I don't really know how it happened. Challenges, you asked for challenges, because
Yeah.
challenges. Time, I guess time is the biggest challenge. There's only so many hours in a day. Have to prioritize sleep, and yeah, another big challenge is, and I think we're going to resolve this. We're going to work to resolve this soon. Is coordinating with other media in the ecosystem, including the main Polkadot account itself. So there's been the authority over the main Polkadot accounts has changed hands a lot over the life of the Kus. Like starting from like several years ago, it kind of seemed like the they didn't want to acknowledge the existence of the Kus. To now, it's a lot more collaborative, and we're going to take some of the funding burden off of the core Polkadot treasury and move it into an organization called a bounty, which is a marketing and outreach bounty that is funded by the treasury, but it's kind of managed by a smaller group of people. And by moving part of the Kus, the outreach part of the Kus, over to that bounty, I hope that we can have greater alignment on messaging and events, and hopefully make a more powerful funnel from like broad outreach that the main Polkadot account can do, kind of funneled down to this kind of more core debate and leadership that we kind of do at the Kus. And so streamlining that funnel, I think, is going to be a challenge, but something that we can definitely improve on. And yeah, just sleep.
Cool. Yeah, for sure. I think we will probably face the same problem with time. Like, there's only,
Yeah,
there's only so much time that you can like just magically pop up some more time in the day.
it's good to
Yeah,
do while
that's
we're
cool.
young.
Yeah, exactly. Just maybe three more questions here from my side. We'll close out
Okay.
the show. One is how is the Polkadot ecosystem evolve in the next few years? Like,
Polkadot is becoming a lot more user friendly and product oriented. So we have this massively, massively powerful architecture and machine. Like I was telling you, if you're a real project with real profit and you need real scale, you have to be here. And so we're sort of distinguishing between this, we're calling it Polkadot Cloud, this sort of cloud service where you can, just like AWS, you can pay as you go for the services of verifiable data, and deploy easily in the cloud. Those are kind of those mega projects I was talking about. They belong there, and distinguishing that from more of a core place, we're calling it the Polkadot Hub, where tinkerers, your classic smart contract deployers and developers, they can come into a common environment where there's going to be staking, it will be there, governance will be there, EVM compatibility will be there, liquidity will be there, and more of a hub where you can come and deploy your early stage projects, and you have the possibility to spin those out into the cloud, into your own roll-ups, into your whole own blockchain if you need it. But if you don't, a much more developer friendly hub for people to come together and deploy the projects. Now, while all that is happening, Gavin Wood is developing this project called Jam, which solves the problem of sharded blockchains. So, like I said,
Jam,
all the
like JAM.
JAM, join, accumulate, machine. It's the
Ah,
machine that will run the current Polkadot network, but will also be able to run roll-ups from other ecosystems, all kinds of other services. But it's this base layer machine that's going to solve the problem of sharded ecosystems. Like I was saying, other tech stacks are realizing, oh, we have to shard. Ethereum L2s are just shards of Ethereum, and we're going to get it all looking like Polkadot, and maybe by the end of 2029 or something like that. The problem with sharding is that every shard is permanently in its own little like pocket, right? And you can only communicate between shards asynchronously. Like if I want to know what's happening in this shard, I have to wait a block or two to find
yeah,
out. And so this is really horrible for things like DeFi, for instance, where
yeah,
you want kind of liquidity flowing like all in the same block, right?
yeah, seamlessly, yeah.
So what Jam is going to do is it's going to, instead of having these rigid divisions between shards, it's more of a dynamic division block by block. So if there's a whole bunch of activity happening in this part of the network, that can be sharded just for a limited amount of time. And then when a certain amount of that activity leaves, well, those boundaries can be redrawn. And this is going to allow for this continuity between contracts and agents that is not going to be hindered by this asynchronous nature of sharding. And it's it's stunning the work that he's done to create the specification for Jam, but also the work he's doing to attract developer teams who will implement Jam in multiple languages. So not only are we decentralized validators, not only are we decentralized on the governance layer, but we're also decentralizing expertise of the core protocol, and we're decentralizing the language that it's implemented in. So it's like it is this unstoppable truth machine that is going to not only be able to handle Polkadot, but going to be able to provide services to other ecosystems in the future as well.
Wow, cool, cool. Yeah, so it sounds like I think it sounds like a huge upgrade, right? Kind of like I don't know, would that be like consider Polkadot 2.0, 3.0, like the next generation, right? I'm not
It's
even
like
sure if there's a version number.
it's like blockchain 3.0.
I see.
Just like he did making Ethereum a reality, just like he did making sharded blockchains a reality with Polkadot. Now he's doing the next thing, which is not only going to support Polkadot, but going to provide services to other blockchains as well. He's one of the innovators of our time.
Yeah, for sure.
This
No,
ecosystem, this industry would not be the same without him.
yeah, for sure. And I know that he's being one of the Ethereum co-founder. He did write a lot of the significant chunk of code right in the early days, and yeah,
He did the
interesting.
spec.
So
He did the
yeah,
spec.
yeah, he
Yeah.
did, he did. Yeah, yeah. So then, when is there a timeline for this then for the jam?
Yeah, Jam. I think we'll see some major progress by the middle of next year. Um, maybe a V1 of the spec by the end of next year. Maybe, yeah, we'll see. I mean, it's at the end of the day, it's not so consequential in the near term. Polkadot is still ahead of everybody. It's still operating efficiently. Once Jam does go live, the first thing is going to be moving Polkadot on top of Jam exactly as it is. No changes. It's all going to be good. The real magic that Jam will unlock is 2 or 3 years down the road. But building that core layer is really the focus right now. But I don't think it changes. I don't think it really changes the thesis over the next year or two.
Nice, cool, cool. Yeah, personally, I'm also really looking forward to that. Yeah, see what would be. I see what would Jam enable, right? Many other new services, yeah, in the
Yeah,
future.
yeah.
Cool, cool. Yeah. So I think you have a very interesting story of how you could have got into Web3. Do you have any advice for people who also want to break into Web3?
Yeah, well, you have to get live, right? You have to join the conversation, and there's a lot of opportunities to do that. Starting with chat rooms, so Telegram and Discord rooms. And after that, you have Twitter Spaces and then live platforms. And then what you have to do is you have to go and you have to meet up. Probably within 50 kilometers of you, wherever you are, there's a meetup. There's a crypto meetup, and you need to go and you need to talk with people, and you need to find where your values lie, right? Obviously, it's okay to come into the ecosystem because you're dazzled by this promise of being rich quick. But you may find that once you get here, that this technology is the base layer of the digital future. And no matter where your interests lie, there's probably some intersection with this technology that you can start building today and you can start implementing on. So whether it be in communications or in finance or in gaming or in AI, there's some edge that you can explore, because if you're listening to this podcast right now in November of 2024, you're extremely early. There's not many people in your neighborhood who you can go and talk to about this stuff. So there's all these edges that you can occupy and you can push forward, and you have to believe that you can do it and you can contribute. Just chasing getting rich quick, you'll learn quick that that's a little bit harder than the YouTubers will make it seem. So I encourage everybody to dig in and take a long view and take some responsibility, pick up a shovel and get digging.
Yeah, for sure. And I think that probably everyone Web3 journey will be different, but I know that there will be a lot of hardship and there's a lot of ups and downs throughout as well. But I think, yeah, it's just persistent and find that niche, right? Like you said, that will spark with the individual person, whether it's like building, creating, whatever it may be, right? Yeah. So thank you. Thanks for sharing that. And then, yeah, final question: where can people follow you, or if you want to give any final shout out to any of your media, feel free to.
Yeah, sure. You just want to follow us on X, and then you'll find your favorite way to consume the Kus from there. You go to X, you type in the Kus, Kus, the Kus, or maybe the Kusamarian, but it's easier to say the Kus. You'll find us there. You can also follow me. I'm Golden Calf on X, GLDN CALF, Golden Calf, and you can follow along there. There's lots of opportunities to get involved. Come into Kus DAO. You can find our Discord. Come into Kus DAO and look at the discourse around governance in there. It's a pretty active group, pretty awesome stuff. And there's lots of room for you. There's lots of room for everybody. You just got to come with a positive attitude and a curiosity and a willingness to learn. And we'll be more than happy to integrate your talent into the future of Polkadot.
Awesome. Yeah, I'll make sure to put all of your social handles, the links you mentioned, in the show notes down below here so that people
Thanks.
can check it out and follow. Once again, Jay, it's been a real pleasure talking with you on the show. And thanks for sharing a lot of the knowledge and insights about the Polkadot ecosystem. I think I've learned a lot personally also myself today. And yeah, I think looking forward to maybe the new release of Jam, or maybe I think for sure for people, please give Jay and his channel a follow. It'd be great.
Thank you. It's been a real pleasure being here, and a lovely experience being interviewed by you. I think you asked some really great questions and got me thinking in areas that I don't always think in. So thanks very much for having me, and I wish you all the best with the progress and continuation of this podcast.
Thank you so much. It's been a pleasure. Thank you.
And we're back to my studio. What do you guys think about this episode? Jay Chrawnna, founder of the Kus. Despite being in Web3 for years, I'm still fascinated by the stories of how people from various industries came into Web3. And Jay's story is very motivating for those wanting to break into Web3. For the next episode, we'll be talking to Ilya Orlov. He's a CEO and co-founder of 5Market AI. They're building community-driven data sets for AI training. Since customer data sets for big corporations are expensive and time-consuming together, while traditional methods ignore user consent and transparency, they have come up with a product to address both of these problems. If you enjoyed this episode, please give a like and subscribe. It means a lot to me. Thank you for watching, and see you next time.